If you own a home and you are worried a nursing home could take everything you built, there is a way to protect it. And there is one common mistake that destroys it instead. Here is the mistake, and here is what to do the right way. First, the stakes, fast. Nursing home care now runs over $10,000 a month, and it can last for years. The only program that really pays for it is Medicaid. But to qualify, a single person can keep only about $2,000 to their name. So most families pay out of pocket, drain their savings, and get help only after almost everything is gone. So people panic and do the obvious thing. They sign the house over to their children or hand a big gift to a grandchild, thinking that if they no longer own it, the nursing home cannot take it. That move backfires. Here is why. It is called the 5-year look back. When you apply for Medicaid, they look back 5 full years at everything you gave away or sold for less than it was worth. If they find a gift in that window, they hit you with a penalty, a stretch of time where Medicaid will not pay for your care. And that penalty is bigger than people expect. They take the total you gave away and divide it by the average monthly cost of a nursing home in your state. That number is how many months Medicaid refuses to pay. Give away $90,000 in a state where care costs $9,000 a month, and that is 10 months with no coverage. 10 months of bills you now have to cover yourself, right after you gave your money away. Even one large check to a grandchild for a wedding or tuition can trigger it. Picture a common version of this. A widow, 78, owns her paid-off home and has about $60,000 in savings. Her memory starts slipping. Frightened and wanting to keep the house for her kids, she signs it over to her daughter and gives each grandchild $10,000. 8 months later, she falls and needs full-time care. The family applies for Medicaid, sure the house is safe now that it is out of her name. Instead, the look-back finds every one of those gifts and hands her a penalty of many months with no coverage, at the exact time she has already given her money away and has nothing left to pay the bills. She did the loving thing, she just did it the wrong way, and too late. And this is not rare or theoretical. Reporters have documented families losing homes their families had held for generations. In one Tennessee case, a low-income family faced recovery on a small 2-bedroom house their family had owned for 7 generations, after a $10,000 a month nursing home bill they were never warned about. In Illinois, thousands of families have lost their properties to this since 2021 alone. It happens often enough that members of Congress have introduced bills just to protect grieving families from it. These are ordinary people who simply never knew the rules until the letter arrived. It also helps to know what Medicaid actually counts, because people rush to protect the wrong things. Your savings, your certificates of deposit, your investment accounts, a second property, these are all countable, and these get spent down first. Your main home has its own protections while you are alive, and one car and your personal belongings are exempt. But there is a catch on the home too. It is only protected up to a point. If your home equity is very high, above a state limit that runs from around $700,000 to over $1 million, the part above that can be counted. And if you enter care with no spouse or dependent at home and no real plan to return, that protection weakens. So a large paid-off home is exactly the kind of asset that needs planning, not the kind you can assume is safe. One more thing before the solutions. Do not let the fear of gift tax freeze you. Giving your home away almost never triggers a gift tax because the lifetime limit is in the millions. But that is a separate rulebook from Medicaid. You can owe 0 gift tax and still get a Medicaid penalty for the same transfer. So if a panic gift is the mistake, what do the families who keep their homes do instead? 3 things, all done while healthy, long before care is needed. 1. An irrevocable trust, often called a Medicaid Asset Protection Trust. Put your home in it properly, and the home is no longer yours in the eyes of Medicaid. It is protected, off limits to them, and you can usually keep living in it for life. But moving it in still counts as a transfer, so it has to be done more than 5 years before you apply for care. Set it up early, and after 5 years and a day, the home is shielded. Set it up too late, and the same clock penalizes you instead. The trust is not magic. The timing is. Here is what you keep and what you give up with that trust, so it is clear. You can name who runs it, usually one of your children. You can keep the right to live in your home for the rest of your life. You can keep the income the trust earns. What you give up is the right to sell it and pocket the cash, or to pull the assets back out whenever you feel like it. That is the price of the protection. And it is why you only put in what you are sure you will not need to spend. And watch this trap. Many people already have a revocable living trust, the kind you set up to avoid probate, and they assume it protects them from the nursing home too. It does not. Because you can change or cancel a revocable trust anytime, the law still counts everything in it as yours. Only the irrevocable kind protects you. Confusing the two has cost families their homes. Here is the timing in real numbers. Someone puts a paid-off home worth $400,000 into an irrevocable trust at 70, while healthy. 5 years and 1 day later, they have a stroke and need care. The transfer is now past the window, so it does not count. The home is protected and passes to the children clean. Now take the same person, but they wait and set up nothing until the stroke hits. That same $400,000 home is fully exposed, and most of it is gone before Medicaid ever steps in. Same house, same family. The only difference was 5 years of planning. A trust is the strongest tool, but not the only one. In some states, there is a simpler option called a life estate or an enhanced life estate deed, sometimes nicknamed a ladybird deed. It lets you keep full control of your home for life and pass it straight to your children the day you die, outside of probate, and in the right states, outside of Medicaid's reach. It does not fit every family, but for some, it is cheaper and simpler than a trust, so it is worth asking about. 2. Not every transfer is punished. A transfer to your husband or wife is fully exempt. A transfer to a blind or disabled child is exempt, at any age and any amount. And the caregiver child exception covers a son or daughter who moved in and cared for a parent for at least 2 years, care that kept that parent out of a facility. In that case, the home can often pass to that child with no penalty, though it takes a doctor's documentation to prove it. These are not loopholes. They are written into the law, and families miss them because no one told them. 3. For married couples, the law does not leave the healthy spouse with nothing. When one spouse needs care, the spouse who stays at home can keep a real share of the savings, over $150,000 this year, plus the home and a car. The spouse at home is also guaranteed a minimum monthly income, so they are not left unable to pay their own bills. And there is a tool made for this moment, a Medicaid-compliant annuity, which can turn a chunk of countable savings into a protected income stream for that spouse. Much of what a couple fears losing can be protected if it is set up right and early. Every one of these depends on time. The trust needs 5 years. The planning has to happen while you are well. The families who keep their homes are not richer or luckier. They just had the conversation years before they needed it, while every door was still open. One warning on setting this up. Do not use a generic online trust or a general lawyer for this. Medicaid rules are exact, and a trust that is not built precisely right can fail when you need it, counting against you anyway. Use an attorney who does elder law and Medicaid planning specifically. It costs more than a form off the internet, and it is worth every dollar. And know that the rules are not identical everywhere. Most states use the 5-year look-back, but a few differ. California, for example, is phasing its look-back out entirely. So the exact timing and the exact options depend on where you live, which is one more reason to ask someone who knows your state. So here is what to do. If you are healthy and own a home you want to leave behind, plan now, not someday. Sit down with an elder law attorney who does Medicaid planning every day and ask one question. If I ever needed long-term care, what happens to my home and my savings, and what can I protect now? That one meeting, held years early, is the whole difference. And if a crisis is already here, a diagnosis, or a parent going into care, do not give up and hand everything over. The best moves take 5 years, but even in a crisis, a good attorney can save a real portion of what is left. There are tools built for exactly this. The annuity I mentioned, a promissory note, or what is called a half-a-loaf approach, where part is protected and part pays for care during a shortened penalty. And if a recovery claim has already arrived after a death, every state is required by law to offer an undue hardship waiver, a way to ask the state to hold back when taking the home would cause real hardship, such as an heir who lives there and has nowhere else to go. The deadlines are strict, so that is a moment to move quickly, not to hand over the keys. The worst move of all is to panic and give it all away yourself, or to do nothing. Get real advice, fast. Quick and plain before I go, I am not an attorney, and this is not legal advice for your situation, because these rules differ by state, and some states are changing the look back right now. Use it as your reason to have the conversation early while you are still well. The goal is simple: The home and the savings you worked a lifetime for should end up with the people you love, not spent down to the last $2,000 because no one told you there was another way, and that it only needed starting in time.